Yeah, let's go.
Okay. My name is Mohammed. I am in Baku. I am working at Baglon's crowdsourced testing company as web security researcher. And today we shall talk about modern web application security researching techniques. Okay. Our topics are XSS, SQL injection, command injection and execution, CSRF, file uploads, EQCA, and API security problems such as mass assignment, broken function level authorization, IDOR, and SSRF. Okay, what's XSS? XSS is a variation of cross-site scripting, and XSS is web security vulnerability which allows the attacker to inject client-side script to the web page. XSS found in user inputs such as login forms and reflect this. There are three types of XSS. Three types of XSS are reflected and stored and DOM-based XSS. One of them is reflected XSS. Reflected XSS attacks, also known as non-persistent XSS attacks, occur when a malicious script is reflected of a web application to the victim's browser. Its impact is not critical, but it's useful for phishing attacks. And you can prevent this vulnerability with using WAF, web application firewalls, or fixing code these issues with code level. And code level you prevent with escaping HTML special chars or escaping these parameters. And another type of XSS is stored XSS. Stored XSS is so critical vulnerability. Stored XSS occur when a malicious script is stored database and reflected of an application to the victim's browser when web page is loading. For example, in this case, stored XSS cause session hijacking and account takeover problem. And okay, for example, website has stored XSS vulnerability, and attacker store his logger script into the page, and when victims are surfing this page, they're logged in sessions in the cookies sent to attacker logger system, and it causes account takeover vulnerability. And another type of XSS is DOM-based XSS. It's involved client-side problem. For example, select menu has XSS. Select menu is manipulated with user input, and you writing if you write XSS if you write XSS payload input as input, this payload or works in page, works at page. Okay, in fact, can you XSS vulnerabilities reported at HackerOne, for example, mockup.com, Shopify, and Starbucks, and their bounties, for example. And another technique is SQL injection. It's classic. It's classic vulnerability. SQL injection is a web security vulnerability that allows an attacker to alter SQL queries made to database. It can be used to retrieve sensitive information and like database structure, table, columns, and their data. Um, okay, there are four types of SQL injection. One of them is classic SQL injection. For example, you inject drop or alter query to the database query, and you can it calls dropping database and altering data and so on. Another type of SQL injection is error-based SQL injection. This type of SQL injection relies on the error message being thrown by a database server, which might provide us some useful information, database structures such as tables, columns, and data, sensitive data. And another type of SQL injection is union-based, which use union statement operator to combine the result of SQL select queries and return single table. It allows an attacker extract information from other tables by appending the result is one query. And another type of SQL injection is blind injection. For example, you are in application written in PHP language. Developer and disabled developer is disabled SQL error reporting, error reporting, and if you have any problem with application, it does it is result you you don't get any error message and so on. This happens when the application is vulnerable to SQL injection, but the result of SQL query are not returned in HTTP response. Blind SQL injection has many sub attack vectors, for example, time-based, volume-based, and so on. And other there is SQL injection reports and impact bounties. Report to use of defense and Starbucks, its bounty. And another attack vector is command injection and execution. It's similar with SQL injection, but it's it's not using use database. For example, you have application, you send a IP address with parameter, and it pings to IP address. After if you inject a OS command, and it will be executed. It will be executed. Its impacts are critical. Attacker can get your uh, own even on your system. For example, command execution in GitLab, it's bounty 12. Bounty is a command injection. Okay. CSRF. Uh, CSRF is techniques that allows hackers to carry out unwanted actions on victim browsers. For example, a hacker changing user's password and transferring money from your bank account without any permission. In image, you you can see that a user enters a.com and a.com contains some images that are host b.com and for example attacker inject a URL in iframe and when victim surfing site it's this link will requested. SESRF, its prevention mechanism is so there are a lot of prevention form of CSRF attack. For example, using CSRF tokens or using same site cookies and same using same margin policy and so on. In Khan Academy and Bado was had CSRF vulnerability and reported. File upload vulnerabilities is a widespread vulnerability in web systems. For example, you have upload in form and you must you can get image types and attacker up for example your application written in PHP language and attacker uploads PHP backdoor or malicious PHP script such as web shell or web backdoor script and access to your system. In this image, you can see attacker uploads PHP script with PHP info function that retrieve PHP information in the web server. And another image you can see attacker retrieve MySQL configuration. Or XML external entity processing is another attack vector. What's XML? XML is markup language which human readable and parsed by machines. It's simple data structure and XML have entities which similar um, variables in programming language. For example, attacker attacker use SSRF request to the entity named by XXY and it sends it server. Server processing it and XXY entity retrieve password file. Okay. Another common problem is API security. API security has a lot of attack vectors, but I talk about four of them: and mass assignment, broken function level authorization, IDOR, and SSL. One of them is mass assignment. Uh, Mass assignment is vulnerability where an active record pattern in web application is abused to modify data items that a user should normally be allowed to access, such as password, granted password, or administration status. Uh, you can see first request. Uh, User sends post request to API register endpoint with email parameter. And it's a response, first response you can see email verified parameter that that means you are not verified, you can't log in to the system. And you can see second request, user sends email verified parameter with true value, and in response, second response, email verified true parameter retrieved. That mean you are verified administration, and user in this case user bypassed verification process from administration. Another attack vector is broken function level authorization. It's so simple. For example, uh, you have APIs endpoint, and it's uh, used from admins, admin access people, and normal user privilege, even normal user privilege uses this API. For example, deleting of users is administrative service, but normal user privilege use this service. For example, uh, user IDs is a numeric type. If a user IDs is numeric data, you you manipulate user IDs, and you can delete all system users. And another attack vector is insecure direct object reference, and another name of this is broken object injection, uh, broken object object level authorization. That means, for example, you are paying for anything, and you can get invoice with numeric invoice ID, and you manipulate this user ID parameter, invoice ID parameter, with any numeric data, and you can get another people's invoice. And it's insecure direct object reference vulnerability. Impact, for example, uh, such systems, some systems have either vulnerability, and normal user can get any information about another users and modify them and delete them, and so on. Another security issue is SSRF, server-side request forgery. Uh, Imagine we are using web application firewall and attacker view only 80 and 443 ports from outside. If if your system has SSL vulnerability and hacker can scan your external infrastructure such as port scanning, and another attack vector is reading files from local. For example, they using this vulnerability and file schema, attacker can read any file from local files. Another attack vector is cover sham, which hacker use sham to send emails from your server. And it's critical for cloud environments. For example, AWS and Google Cloud attacker can get your meta files, metadata, and secret keys, and your certificates, for example, SSL certificates, and so on. And SSR is subvector of XXA. Please, I can see XXA. You can see using XXA vector in the SSR vector in XXA attack. That's all. Thanks for attention.
Thank you, Mohammed. Any questions for the topic? And you can either write or you can ask in interactive, because I think the number is fine. I think they're writing. Mohammed, do you want me to read, or you would like to go to meeting minutes and read from there?
Okay.
I can put. I'm putting in the chat the link.
Okay. Please.
How we can find the uploaded shell path? It works by tampering sometimes if I get lucky, but mostly it doesn't.
Please.
That's a question. How can we find the uploaded shell path? So
how can
is it clear, the question?
I can't see question.
You can't go to the meeting minutes. I put in the chat the meeting minutes. If you click the docs.
I can't see it.
You can't open.
This means example, anyone hacked my server and uploaded some shell, yeah. And after that, I wanna find uploaded shell path, as I understand. And yep.
I think if you ask it the question, you can elaborate and you can turn microphone and maybe too.
Please.
Actually, there are some.
Okay. I see. I see. And please, I can find upload shell. And okay, and you must you can use Erka Hunter in your server, or it's rootkit hunter, and this tool find your all your uploaded shells. And okay. How can I find uploaded shell path? It works type. It's so uh, hard. For example, if you are, it's uh, um, it's application logic. For example, if application upload your shell file, uh, same as your file name, it's so easy for find. But it's if application has your upload file name or uh, another encryption technologies, it's so hard. Okay.
There is another question, Mehmet. It's asking how developers can avoid these kind of vulnerabilities, best practices, tools, libraries.
I mean, programmers and developers, if can read OWASP testing guide and OWASP web application security technicals in OWASP organization,
Yeah,
web application
each
security project.
they publish each year, yeah, or it's or every another year or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
They have good documentation for open source web security, about web security tools and some prevention methods and something, this kind of things. Yeah, they have some good documentation. You can use OWASP, open source web application vulnerability, if I correct.
And I think it's also based on the language. If it's cloud, all of them has documentation. So I think it's for each one. It really depends on so many sources, but OWASP is a key one, yeah?
Yep.
OWASP top 10, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, example for most of languages have some frameworks that have some protection methods for example, for SQL injection and cross-site scripting and something. Yeah, it depends on programming language.
Yep. Yeah. Any other questions? And okay, then I will ask one more last question, Mohammed. I would say when you're using the authentication way, so is there any pros and cons if you use OIDC plus O authentication? And and when you do like centralizing, like using application like Okta, and like where you have one password or some tools where you have all the password in one place, is there any security risk and stuff? So in these kind of cases which is most of the companies currently using.
After authentication mechanisms,
Let's say what's
you mean single sign-on? You
Yeah.
mean single sign-on systems? Yeah.
Yeah, single sign-on system and like OIDC plus OIDC authorization, like using OAuth. And is it using the most secure?
I I use OS sometimes, but new generation I haven't any.
Used? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Mohammed.
Thank you.
And thank you. He is really one of the active, excited member of the Go Up, and as much as Emin Guliyev. So thank you for both of you guys, and they're really good friends, and I think it's really excited and happy to have both of you. So yeah, I think let's go to our third talk. Imran, are you here?
Hi. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. I'm gonna